Hey guys, how are you all doing today? Alright, so today's my day to do announcements. I love you guys too. Okay, so snow camp is less than a week away. Can you believe it? It's insane. So, Area 51 and Raiders of the Lost Baby Sharks. So I bet that's going to be fun to shop for this week, right? Yeah. So, for those of you who have been, you know what a treasure it is. Don't wait for fun and games, but also a huge opportunity to grow your faith, right? And to make those connections with your friends and the leaders. And for those of you who haven't been, it's going to be a big surprise. Like, you're going to walk away and think, oh my gosh, what just happened here? So it's pretty awesome. And I want to give a shout out to a certain 14-year-old, which she's going to be mad at me, but I love her so much. And I can't help it because I'm her mama. Happy birthday, Sydney.
Hey, there you are. What's up? Oh, did you guys like that? I really like seeing Josh and Ashton get an uncomfortable, but you guys probably didn't feel uncomfortable at all. That was like just natural, wasn't it? You guys are so close, so weird. Anyway, speaking about babies, it is, no, not that you guys are babies, that was weird. I don't know why I said that. That was weird, forgive me. I don't know how kids survive past the age of 2. You ever see a 2-year-old try to walk? Like, they got these big fat heads. They're fat, and they got these skinny little stick bodies, and they're just trying not to die. They're just trying not to die. Because they're fighting gravity. You ever see that? It's scary, it's terrifying. And so somewhere between balancing this massive head and walking like Frankenstein, because that's what it looks like, they figure out how to walk. Like, it's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. And I don't know about you, but my guess is that most of us don't remember taking our first step. Anybody? Ever remember that? No one remembers taking your first step. We don't remember how hard it was to get the balance right. Weeks and weeks and weeks of struggling and failing and falling. And I think it's funny that a first step is one of the biggest milestones in your life. One of the biggest milestones in your life, and nobody remembers taking their first step. Isn't that crazy? But the thing is, somebody remembered taking your first step, right? Like, there were celebrations when you decided to stop being someone that disgustingly moved around the ground, and then you stood up and you got on your own feet. Like, somebody remember that? There were celebrations. Hopefully there was video. Does anybody actually have video evidence of their first steps? That's incredible. Like, that's amazing. And not only was there video evidence, but you basically became like the new pet. Because everywhere your parents went, they're like, hey, watch what my kid can do. And they like lift you up and they're like, look at him. And then when you be done, they're like, that's great. And they give you a snack. They're like, here's a little cheese puff, or here's a little baby puff. Good job, baby. Like you're some kind of like animal. Listen, being somebody who is trying to housebreak a puppy and trying to raise a 2-year-old, I believe puppies and 2-year-olds are one and the same. They're two very similar people. Don't put that on the internet. People get mad if I say that. It's a big thing when you take your first step, right? Like, it is a big deal because when we're younger, first steps are a big deal, right? First steps are a really big deal when you're young. And it's not just you trying not to die by walking. It's other things. Like the first time you start using new words. That's a really big deal. So I remember when my kids were learning new words and then they would call things certain things, but they weren't the right words, but it was still okay. Like, for example, Jeremiah called the elevator the alligator. It was like the cutest thing in the world. Like, the alligator. Can we ride the alligator? I never told him it was really called an elevator. He called it an alligator and he was like 6. It was beautiful. Like, and then I would tell anybody, listen, if you tell them it's an elevator, I'll smash you in the face. I swear I'll smash you in the face. Do not. It is too cute. Now, like, we had to tell him because 9's almost 10. It's not cute when you're 10. It's like, want to ride the alligator? It's an elevator. Like, that's just... But, like, and then how about when, like, you first started using the bathroom? Listen, that's where I'm at right now with Faith. She's 2. We're trying to get her potty trained. Like, that's a big deal when kids can start going to the bathroom by themselves and then getting dressed by themselves. Yeah, right? Listen, Jeremiah still has trouble with that. Okay, so it's like, it's a big deal when you take your first steps. Wouldn't it be nice if it was still that easy to please people? Wouldn't that be nice? Like, could you imagine every time you come out of the bathroom, your mom and dad are there? You did it. You pooped again. You did it. It's the second week in a row I've said poop. I don't know, it's a thing. Pray for me. Like, you remember, like, you imagine how easy it would be if, like, you just said words to your parents, like, hey, Mom, and your mom starts crying. What? You said Mom. Did you hear that? You said Mom. Like, wouldn't that be amazing if it was that easy to please your parents or to please people in your life? But here's the thing. As we get older, what was once a big deal isn't a big deal anymore. Isn't that true? There's no one celebrating the fact that you used the bathroom. Matter of fact, it's the opposite side. If you're a guy, most likely you're going to get yelled at if you didn't put the seat up, or you didn't put the seat up, or did you wipe? Because I don't even know. There's just so many restrictions we have as guys when we use the bathroom, and then like moms and like come on, just I don't know what to do with the bathroom. Okay, it's just crazy. So, but you don't get celebrated for small stuff anymore. You don't get celebrated for small stuff anymore. It's only the big stuff. And that's a big problem. And the reason why that's a big problem is it puts us in a really strange place with the people in our lives. Think about the people in your life and what's important to them. Because we don't celebrate small stuff. We only celebrate big stuff. And so it asks the question, what really is most important? What is really most important? So the great theologian, Bradley Cooper, said this: what's celebrated gets replicated. Now, if you don't know who Bradley Cooper is, this is also Bradley Cooper. He was Rocket Raccoon. Go back to the other slide, though. Man, what a good-looking guy. Man, I wish I was like Bradley Cooper. Anyway, here. Next slide. Go to the title slide. I'm going to get distracted looking at Bradley Cooper like that. So Bradley Cooper said, what is celebrated gets replicated. What's celebrated gets replicated. That's really important. Because you got to ask yourself this question: what do the people in my life celebrate? Because whatever the people in your life celebrate is what you will ultimately make the replay button of your life, and you will try to replicate that. Which brings us to a really important question: what happens when what's important keeps changing? Think about that for a second. If we replicate what people celebrate in our life, what happens when what's important keeps changing? Like, what do you do when you've got friends, and when you first start becoming friends with them, there's certain things that are really important, but then it changes. And it's not a big deal anymore as it used to be, so you got to change that. Or what about in relationships? When you first start dating somebody, and there's certain things that were really a big deal and really important, but they're not as important anymore. What do you do with that? And what do you do with your parents? When, like, hopefully you're walking and using the bathroom by yourself, but then there's other things in your life that you do, and at one point your parents were like, hey, that's great that you're doing that, but then it changes. Because it's not bad enough that sometimes what's important keeps changing, but what happens when what changes isn't enough? Like, that's a heavy weight, right? I mean, some of you this week, you felt that weight. That you thought in the relationships you had with people that this was what it was about, but then it changed, and the things that you used to really put a lot of time and energy in aren't really important anymore, and it just feels frustrating. And if we can be honest, man, aren't people just the worst? Like, aren't we the worst? We are so selfish. Because what's important isn't based on what's true, but for most people it's what's temporary. Like, I promise you there's some people in this room that are in a relationship like that right now. That you are pouring a lot of time and investing a lot of energy into some relationships, and what's important in that relationship is not what's true, but what's temporary. Here's what I mean by that. What's temporary is, what am I feeling right now? What do I want right now? What makes me happy right now? And when that changes, then what's important changes. And here's the thing about feelings. They're always changing. Always changing. And if you are investing in a lot of time into a relationship with someone who is constantly changing what they think is important based on how they think they feel, I just want to let you know that's a bad space to be in. And like, if some of you don't know that already, you need to know that now, because there's never consistency there, because there's never any truth. So in order for you to build your life on something that is important, you must build your life on something that's true. Specifically, you should build your life on somebody who is true. So Jesus said a lot of things when he walked this earth, but probably one of the most important things he said was this. He said, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. No one comes next to the Father except through union with me. To know me is to know my Father too. Here's why this is so important. This is how you get close to God. So we're in this series of talks right now called The Chase. And we're asking the question, what does it look like to chase after Jesus? And so last week we kicked off this series, and I challenged you guys last week to change what you chase. To change what you chase, because whatever you chase, you're eventually going to catch. And that's going to eventually be who you are and what you're about. And we talked about finish lines last week. And the problem with friends, and the problem even with family, is that with a lot of our relationships, there's no finish line. There's no finish line is because we don't base what's important off of what's true. Like, there should just be some things that no matter what's happening in our life, this stuff never changes. Like the way I feel about myself, right? And the way people treat me, regardless of whether I'm having a good day or a bad day, whether I walk out of the house and I look great, or I walk out of the house and it looks like I just woke up, I should be treated a certain way. That's truth. But a lot of times we get these relationships that are so jacked up because people will treat us based upon how they feel, not based upon what's true. And so the finish lines are all jacked up. And so last week we encouraged you to change what you chase. You should pursue a relationship with Jesus because Jesus is truth. So we shared this verse last week that says, come close to God and God will come close to you. It's this simple equation that can change your life, that the closer you get to Jesus, the closer Jesus is going to get to you. And the reason why that's important is because Jesus is the way, He is the truth, and He is life. And if you want to have a relationship with God, the relationship that will change all things in your life, I promise you that, you got to get it through Jesus. Because then you can ask this question. What's important to God? Right? Because if you believe for a second, we said this last week, if you believe that God is real, then His opinion should be the most important opinion above all other opinions. So what's important to God? What matters to God? This is what matters to God. Any step you take towards Jesus, any step you take towards Jesus is important to God, because any step towards Jesus has the potential to be the biggest step of your life. So when I think about my life and some of the greatest things I have been blessed with, a lot of it came from small steps. So a couple years ago, we really needed another car. I was working in Marietta. We needed a car. I couldn't afford to go buy a used car at a lot. I just needed a really dependable, cheap car. And if you've ever gone car shopping, those things don't exist. Okay, cheap cars and dependable, they don't exist. So we're getting ready to head out. We're kind of going to go car shopping, but we get lunch first, and we're driving down Grand Central, and we're going to go to Chick-fil-A, because that's what people that do that love Jesus, they eat Chick-fil-A, okay? And so we're going to get Jesus chicken, and I was working at the pizza place at the time, and I said, you know what, let's go get pizza. To which my wife is like, you work there. You eat pizza all the time. I know, but let's just go get pizza. So we go to get pizza. I walk up to the counter. One of my friends is there, like, hey, what are you doing today? Well, we're actually looking for a car. That's so weird. I have a friend who's getting ready to sell their car. It's a 1990s car that some grandma owned, barely drove it, and they're looking to sell it cheap. I ended up buying this car for $1,500. It was like the best thing that ever happened. I had this car that was dependable, and then when I didn't need that car anymore, I was able to give it to a friend. I just gave it to him because it was a blessing to me, and I wanted to be a blessing to somebody else. Because I went to pizza places instead of Chick-fil-A. It gets crazy. So here's another example. When I was in high school, it's the same now, like you get to pick your classes. Okay, so I had a math class. I had a block where I had to pick math class, and I could have picked it before lunch or after lunch. I said, well, let's just go after lunch, which now in hindsight is just ridiculous. Why would you go do something hard like math after you filled your food with junk and then like you just sleep? But I didn't think. So I took the math class after lunch. Guess who else had math class after lunch? A girl named Elise Newbanks. Now, Elise and I were friends, but we had an hour and a half every day together after lunch. And guess what happened? We started becoming really good friends. And out of that really good friendship, I stole her from her boyfriend. It was shady. I married her. I won. It's okay. Hey, yes. Yes. And if you're watching, you lose. Okay? All right. So, no, I'm just joking. That was horrible. Erase that. Erase that comment. Perfect. You want to know how I got this job? There's a lot of different things that got this job. But I was here at the church one day, and I was helping out in the kitchen. And Tim Simmons comes walking down. Now, if you've ever been in this church, there's a bunch of different ways to get to a bunch of different places. But for whatever reason, that day, Tim walked into the kitchen. And he said, hey, what's going on? I said, well, I'm really struggling. I don't like where I'm at, and I really want to get back into ministry. He said, really? I thought you loved being where you were at. I never thought you'd want to get back into ministry. I was like, oh, man, like if there's an opening, get me in. That conversation led to me becoming part-time. It led to me eventually becoming the student pastor here. And here's my favorite one. My mother-in-law was in the store shopping one day. And she ran into this woman who's a friend of hers. And this woman happens to be the director of the Women's Care Center. And the woman goes, hey, how's everything going with Adam and Elise? And said, well, they've actually been going through all these struggles and all these different things. And the woman goes, that's so weird. You know, we get a lot of families that go through that. They should put a portfolio into the Women's Care Center and maybe something will work out. Now, it's easy to think that those are silly things, right? Like go to a pizza place instead of Chick-fil-A. Schedule math after lunch instead of math before lunch. Tim decides to go to the kitchen instead of walking somewhere else. My mother-in-law decides to go to that store instead of another store. All of those little steps created big moments. Because that's how life works. And when it comes to chasing Jesus, life change is just one step away. And here's what we believe. Everybody can take a step. Everybody can take a step. It doesn't matter who you are, what you've been through, who your parents are, who your friends are. It doesn't matter what you think about God, what you think about yourself. It doesn't matter why you're in this room today. I'm telling you right now, everyone, including you, can take a step. And that one step could change your life forever. Now, here's the thing. If any step towards Jesus has the potential to change your life, then how come we don't see a lot of people taking steps, right? Like, wouldn't that be the assumption? If any step towards Jesus has the potential to change my life, then how come we don't see more people taking steps? And here's why. Because everything I told you today is true. And there's some of you that I promise you today, you're one step away from your life being drastically different than what it is. But a lot of us will never get there because to step close to Jesus is to step away from something else. When you step close to Jesus, you're stepping away from something else. So when Jeremiah first started walking, when we adopted him, there was another guy at church that I worked with, and he had a kid at the same time. So unfortunately, our kids were always being compared to each other. And his kid was just really fast at everything. Like he was talking faster and he was walking faster. And so there was this moment where Jeremiah not only was not walking, he wasn't even crawling. Jeremiah did this weird butt scoot thing where he'd sit on his butt and he'd take his hand and he'd just scoot everywhere. That's what he did. It was like really cute at first, and then I was like, I think there's something wrong with the kid. This is like we had this big gym where I worked, and he would literally scoot everywhere. It's almost like he was sweeping up the floor. And so it was really cute at first, and then this other kid was like running races. He's like running races. Okay, that's how fast he is. And he wasn't really doing that. And then Jeremiah's scooting. I'm just like, what is wrong with my son? Well, then eventually, like he got up off the floor and he did the wall touch thing. I don't know if you've ever seen kids try to walk with like it's the wall touch. As long as they're like, and he'd go around every wall in the house. That's how he would get the thing. So if there was something in this spot in the room, he would walk around all the way around the other side of the house, touching the wall so that he could get to it. It was just the weirdest thing. But then something amazing happened. He let go of the wall and he walked. It wasn't until he let go of this thing that he was trusting in that he had enough faith to step out. I don't know if he had enough faith. I mean, he was like 1-2 years old, but he just did it. And if you're going to step close to Jesus, you're going to have to step away from something else, which here's the big question today. What is your something else? What's the thing right now in your life that's holding you back from really stepping closer to Jesus, to really taking your faith serious, to choosing better friends, to being a better friend, to working on the relationship with the people in your life that matter, to be more loving, to be more kind? What's holding you back? What's the one thing that you can't let go of? And maybe everything inside of you is saying, I want to be closer to Jesus. I want to be better in my relationships. I want to be in a better, healthier place in my life, but I don't know if I can because I can't let go of this thing. And so here's why I think we can't let go. I think some of us today, we just love some things more than we love Jesus. We just do. And that's a part of life. You're going to have to go through some things to figure out that that stuff is not better than Jesus. Okay, so even for us as leaders who love you, we show up, and for me, who screams in this microphone every week, I'm going to keep telling you that Jesus is better than everything else. There's going to have to come a day where you're going to have to figure that out by yourself. And I get that. But that is the truth. For a lot of us, we're like, listen, I love Jesus, but I really love this. And my prayer is that sooner rather than later, this thing that you're holding on to, just you realize it is not better than Jesus. And I gotta let this go. Like, this is silly. But for some of us, I think we've bought into this lie that we've been taught since we got through those first steps. Because what happens now that you're older? Only the big steps are celebrated, right? Only the big steps are celebrated. So like you pass your permit and your driver's test, and that's a celebration. But then for those of you that's had it for a while, how many times you come home and you got home safe and no one's like, hey, great job. Great job on the road. You crushed it. Like it's just, and then maybe you get that A in that class finally, but then it's just become like it's not that big of a deal anymore. And like that's what life's gonna be like. Unfortunately, as you get older, we only celebrate the big things. If you're not careful, you can start to think that maybe that's how faith works. That maybe the only way I can get closer to Jesus is if I take a really big step. Like a big step. Like the only way I would ever get closer to Jesus, maybe I just get rid of all my friends. Like that's big, that's scary. Is that what it takes? Maybe the only way I can get closer to Jesus is this thing that I'm addicted to that nobody knows about but me and God. I just quit it cold turkey. Like I'm not doing that anymore, even though I've been struggling with it for months. Is that the step I need to get closer to Jesus? And if you're not careful, you create the step to get closer to Jesus. You make it so big that you don't even take the step. And we're losing out on the fact that when it comes to God, it's not about big steps. It's just about any step. Because every step towards Jesus counts. Every step. The big steps and the small steps. And so if you're sitting here this morning as we're trying to close this out and you're struggling thinking, well, what step do I take and how do I do this and what do I do? Let me just give you an easy first step, a really, really easy first step. What if your first step to getting closer to Jesus was just showing up? What if you just showed up? Like what if anytime we were hanging out together Sundays, we just kicked off Common Meal on Wednesday nights. Have you ever been to Common Meal? It's awesome. Like there was like 35 people in the house. It was crazy. This week we're eating tacos. It's taco night at the Maya's house. I don't know. You guys got way more excited about tacos than some of the other stuff I said. I'm a little hurt, but I love tacos, so I'm gonna accept it. I'm gonna accept it. All right. What if your first step was just showing up? Anytime we're together, you just showed up. Are we hanging out on floor 1? I'm gonna be there. We're gonna hang out at the Myers house. I'm gonna be there. If people are there, I'm gonna show up because that's a step. What if you showed up in your groups? Like, don't just come to these things, but be honest with people. Take a chance. Build some friendships. Care for people. Listen. Talk about your life. Why do we gotta wait for snow camp and summer camp to be honest and real with each other? So many of you guys got these great relationships that have come out of snow camp and summer camp, and I'm thankful for that. But you know what? It could happen every week. What if we just showed up in the things that God tells us to do, like praying? What if we just started praying and you're like, I don't even know what to pray? Well, then just show up one day and be like, God, I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm just going to sit here. I'm going to think. I'm going to pray. I'm going to get a journal. I'm going to whatever. Reach out to me. Reach out to somebody. Say, help me to pray. Help me to figure out how it shows up. What does it mean to show up when I'm reading scripture? You got this great thing called a Bible app. It actually gives you a verse of the day. Maybe that's what you do. What would happen if you just showed up? What would happen if you just trusted God, even if you didn't even know what that meant? What if you just said, I'm going to trust God? Because Adam's really loud, and he says I should trust God, so I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to trust him. Solomon, he's one of the wisest guys to ever walk the face of the earth. Not only scripture will tell you that, but history books will tell you that. Here's what Solomon said. You should trust in the Lord completely, and you should not rely on your own opinions. With all your heart, rely on him to guide you. He will lead you in every decision you make. Become intimate with him in whatever you do, and he will lead you wherever you go. Do you want to know how you get intimate with God? Do you want to know how you get intimate with God? It's not this weird thing, okay? You want to get intimate with God? Just show up. Just be real with God. Say, God, I don't know how all this works, but I want to be better at it. And I'm showing up. Like, help me. Be honest about your frustrations with God. Do the things that I was telling you. Just show up. If there's a group of people who love Jesus and we're trying to get better at this thing called faith, you should just show up and say, hey, I'm trying to get better too. And Solomon says, if you start doing that, your life's going to start changing. Why? Because Jesus is the way, he is the truth, and he is the life. And the only way to have a relationship with Jesus, with God, is through Jesus. So I remember Jeremiah's first steps. I remember that moment when he finally took his head off the wall and he started walking. And we were like freaking out because we weren't sure if this was the real one or this was a fake one because he staked us out a couple times before. And then like about 10 seconds, like he's walking and like this looks like it's the real deal, and then he falls down. And Elise and I look at each other, and you know what we do? We go, Jeremiah, you idiot! What a stupid baby! Like there's this kid at church and he's walking and you can't walk. I mean, when are you going to figure out how to do something. No. We didn't do that. You know what we did? He takes his hand off the wall, he walks for like 10 seconds, and we're like, oh my God, is this actually happening? And then he falls, and we go, oh! Hey, Dad! And like, I scooped him up, and I'm like holding him up in the air, and I think he started crying, because like I scared him, and he's like, oh, I was like, this is amazing! And I'm like spinning him around, like, you walked! You did it! You walked! Like, did you see that? And then guess what I did? Every time I went somewhere, I'd be like, hey, watch what my kid can do. And I'd like set Jeremiah up, he'd like walk, like, 10 seconds and fall, because isn't that amazing? He's walking! Now, some of you have bought into this lie that when you take a step for Jesus and you take a chance and you step out in faith and you start walking in your faith and then you fall, some of you have bought into the lie that God looks at you and go, oh, come on. Like, how stupid can you be? You're still struggling with that? You're not further along than what you are? Like, I thought we covered this last year and we're still here. Some of you think that's the way the God of the universe looks at you when you try to take a step of faith. That's not what God says. For those of you that have taken that step of faith, and those of you who are trying right now, and every step you take, it's a hard step, but you're growing and you're learning and you're trusting and you're showing up. And when those moments come and you fall flat on your face, and you think, oh man, is this it? Is God disappointed with me? Is God done with me? No, all of heaven is going, look at that, he's walking! She's walking. Did you see that? Like, they're starting to believe in me again. They're starting to believe in themselves. They're starting to get connected with people who love me. They're starting to take a chance. They're starting to reach out and tell other people about me. They're starting to let go of the things that are hurting them. You see that? They're walking. Because when it comes to life change, every step towards Jesus has the potential to change your life. And when it comes to Jesus, every step counts. Every step counts. Even if all you got enough strength to do today is take a small step, it counts. And maybe for some of you, it is a big step. Like maybe for some of you, that relationship you're in, those friends you're hanging out with, that conversation you need to have with somebody, maybe that's the step you need to take today, and that's great too, because we'll take it. But maybe it's just showing up. Maybe it's for the first time talking about how you're feeling. Maybe it's thinking that maybe some change needs to happen and sharing that with somebody. We'll take that too. Because here's what we believe. Everybody can take a step. Everybody can take a step.
Welcome to North Youth Media. We're here today. This is actually our first video, so it's going to be a little bit of an awkward turtle type of jumping over hurdles and steps and all that stuff. But today, our special guest, special guest for today, but after that, he's just going to be a known guy.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we have the one and only Adam Myers.
I'm hanging around for a while.
Yes, youth pastor, father, and student motivator.
Yes.
Nice titles
like
to
that.
have.
That's
But
nice. Student motivator.
yeah, that's good.
I just finished eating a sandwich, so
That's good.
I'm worried that like there's something in my teeth.
Well, for some of the audience, they can only hear it, but some of them they'll be able to see it.
You can edit that,
So-
right? You can edit stuff out of my teeth.
We'll try our best, unless it's not in the budget. So depending on what type of editing software we have. But anything you're excited about for this week?
Oh man, it has been nothing but snow camp life. This whole I've been working on snow camp stuff every day this week, and some
I
days
believe it.
until the late hours. It was like the New Year's came, and then it was I think it was New Year's. I think it was January 4th, and it was the first day back to the office. And then I looked at the calendar and I thought, oh, snow camp's in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Oh, well, I'm not ready. And so
Except we talked about snow camp months before that, and then
Yeah.
it hits here, and you're like, oh wait, that's
Yes.
next week.
but it's been good. Like it's one of those things where it is tiring when you're working on everything, but as you're working on it, you're just getting excited.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. For me, it's one of those things where I'm just kind of like excited to be there. I don't feel myself excited like my first year or second year, but this will be my 9th year going.
Yeah.
So I'm just excited to see familiar faces. I'm excited to see what the students are going to deal with their first time there, because we have a bunch of students going that it's going to be their first time, which is really cool. And then just the fact to see what the end result is, because they see it as a bunch of fun, hanging out, running, wild and crazy kids, but at the end, there's gonna be a lot of changed lives.
Yes. Yeah, I'm the same way. It's my third year going. So I'm just excited. It's one of my favorite, if not my favorite weekend of the whole year, because we just get to go hang out with students, and Circle C just feels like a second home.
Yeah.
Because you've been going this will be year number 9, but
Yeah.
we've been going for 24 years this year as a church. So
that's good.
So they really treat you like, this is your home, and so I just love everything about it. Just getting to be with the students and hanging out is gonna be great. And I think what you said is so true about it's more than just having fun. And for a lot of these students, it's gonna open doors for them to take these next big steps in their life.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, speaking of next big steps, I mean, today we've kind of hit on. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're going to see the message, and what the message talked about is with the series that we're in is called The Chase, and it's just talking about these next steps that you take. Just chasing Jesus starts with one step at least. Mm-hmm. So the scripture that you hit, which was really good, I thought, Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord completely, and do not rely on your own opinions. With all your heart, rely on Him to guide you, and He will lead you in every decision you make. Become intimate with Him in whatever you do, and He will lead you wherever you go. Like, those are like some strong.
Yeah.
Like when you're reading the Bible and you read that, you're like, those are some strong words.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they come from Solomon, who was the smartest man to ever live on the earth, and so. He's giving you that statement based off of a life of pursuing lots of things. And that's what the series has been about. It's about those next steps, because what better time to take a next step than in January? It's a new year, it's 2020, It's a chance to make some better decisions, and the first decision we should make is making a step towards Jesus and trusting Him, like Solomon says.
So, going into the questions here, I mean, that's actually a good, since we keep saying the same word over and over again. What are some firsts you remember celebrating as a kid?
Yeah, so this will be kind of fun. We can talk about this, because we talked about this today. We talked about taking your first steps, and how your first steps ever, when you went from crawling to walking, was such a big deal.
Yeah.
And nobody remembers it. You don't remember your first steps unless, hopefully, your parents took video. My parents didn't take video. Part of me wish I lived in this day and age, because then not only would my parents have taken video, but maybe it would have gone trending.
Yeah, it probably would.
Yeah, it was 1.5.
It would have been one of those like big Michelin Man steps as you're walking, and
So I'm trying to think what my first was that I can remember, because we all have these firsts. Whether when you're a kid, it's walking, and then eventually you get to use the bathroom by yourself, which is great.
Yeah.
No more diapers, and then it's the words. I'm trying to think. I think I remember the first time I walked home from school by myself. That was a really big deal.
Oh yeah.
I didn't have to get picked up, and I felt like such a big shot.
Yes. I mean, mine's in the same realm, but more of the being allowed to play outside until dark or whatever, having the freedom to do that, and knowing that before this day and age of life world, but being able to go outside and not being watched over like every step, but being able to go and play and do whatever you want in the dirt, bikes, bushes, whatever. So that's my first.
Yeah, it's like every time you hit one of those firsts, you feel so important.
Yeah,
and you feel it's so funny how it's one step closer to becoming an adult, which is the only thing you want to do when you're young, and then you become an adult.
And you're like, no,
you don't want
I want to go back to there.
I want to go back.
And my mom come to my house, take care of me, cradle me, feed me.
Yes.
Yeah.
So students, you have it so good right now. Just enjoy being at home with your mom and dad, and they take good care of you, and you don't have to. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course.
It's better.
So the follow-up question with that is why, now talking about adults, why do you think adults in your life tend to celebrate those first moments when you're kids? That they become less of a big deal as you get older?
Yeah.
So you do them.
Yeah.
they're your first, and you're like excited, and then now you do them again, and they're like, yeah, you're supposed to do that.
Yeah, we talked about that today, and it's a bummer because it was so easy to please people in your life when you did things like that. You know, nobody is waiting for you outside of the bathroom, and they're not clapping their hands going, you did it. You used the bathroom again.
Yeah.
You know, that's, or, you know, you got dressed today. Wow, you are amazing. Like, no one's throwing a party because you did that, because it just becomes normal, and, you know, that's a part of life. You know, obviously, something can only be big one time. It can only be great this one time, and then eventually it becomes normal, and that's the way it's supposed to. But I think we lose something in that you start to lose a lot of those moments. They come kind of few and far between. And so then it's easy, I think, to get discouraged and to feel like, well, maybe nobody cares about me, or nobody thinks I'm great, or no one's celebrating me when that doesn't happen. It's not true, but it's just kind of few and far between when you get older.
You know, I remember things like that where I was almost like fishing for a clap or something from my parents because, hey, I took out the trash today, and I get the answer of, well, you're supposed to take out the trash. Like, why are you? Yeah. But I did it. Like, you keep telling me, and I finally did it on my own. I'm a big boy now. Like, no, you're supposed to do that. Yeah. Like, you're not getting a high five from me or money or anything like that. Yeah. It's just, so.
Yeah, I still do that with my wife. so she does these things all the time, like laundry. She'll do laundry all the time, and then I'll do a load of laundry and fold it, and I'll be like, hey, did you see that pile of laundry I just folded?
I just did that.
I did that for you.
You're excited?
Because I do that every day, so where's my day? You know.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So, you know, hitting on the accomplishments, so the next question talks about what's one accomplishment that might have looked small on the outside, but actually was a huge deal to you.
Yeah, I think that's the key. And for students especially, it's so easy to get caught up in these big moments.
Oh, yeah.
And then that you lose sight that it's the small steps you take that create the big steps. So, you know, for a student, I think they get paralyzed by those big steps. And somewhere along the lines, because that happened in life, that we don't get celebrated for the small things anymore, we translate that to everything in life.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of big steps, especially if you're a student. You know, the challenges of being a teenager right now that you have to face, like it takes a lot of courage. So just sometimes something as simple as showing up somewhere, like maybe to class. Maybe you had a bad day this past week, and there's this class, maybe there's this person that you have class with, and they're just the worst, and everything in you just wants to not go to class, maybe transfer, but you decide, you know what, I'm just going to go to class today, and I'm going to face them. It doesn't mean maybe you even say anything to them. You're just like, I'm going to go to class. I'm not going to let that person keep me from that. Like, it seems like such a small thing, but that's a big deal.
Yeah. It's prioritizing what they feel is important and an accomplishment at that point in time. It's not important what that other person thinks. It's important what steps you're taking to get to the next level, or for lack of a better word, but yeah, getting to the next point, to the next step.
Yeah, and I think that's, especially reaching out to people, that's real big.
Yeah.
So you may be thinking about somebody and a friend, and they're on your heart, and you want to reach out to them.
Oh, yeah.
And you might think that's a small thing. It was just a little thing. Like, what, you know, it was just a text message, or it was just a phone call, or it was just whatever. But that text message or phone call, that could be huge for somebody. Somebody could be in a really tough spot right now, and your word of encouragement could change everything. So that's a small thing that becomes a really big thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's what we got to be on the lookout for. You know, when you read Scripture and you look at the people that God uses, God a lot of times moves in small steps. And today we were talking about that, how some of the biggest blessings I've received in my life happened through a really small step. You know, I'll just give one example. There was a bunch of them because they can watch it. But when we were looking to get a car, and you know, we didn't have enough money to buy a car from a lot, and we needed a cheap, dependable car, and those two words don't go together. Those
Right.
three words don't go together. Cheap, dependable car. That doesn't exist. And so we were going to go to lunch, and we're going to go to Chick-fil-A, because that's where people that love Jesus go. They go to Chick-fil-A, and we decided to go somewhere different. And it was just a small thing, but we went to that someplace different. I met a friend, and we told them we're looking for a car. They said, I know someone that's selling a car right now. They started selling it. They, and so we got this car at this great deal. It was a big blessing. That never would have happened if we wouldn't have taken that small step.
Yeah.
So, don't throw those small steps away, because they may lead to some really big things.
Yeah. It does take patience.
Yes.
Like it's got, everybody wants to be like, they see something that someone has and they've accomplished something very, very big, and they're like, man, I want that. But you can't turn around and do the exact same thing without taking the steps that they did, without getting there. It could take 12, it could take 36, it could take 100. But
Yeah.
there's that patience that has to lie along with those things. And, you have to commit to that. Like, I'm going to be a different person. I'm going to be this type of person. I'm going to get into this and study this a little bit more. In order to do that, you have to open the Bible, read it, talk to people so you can understand what people are like, or take that one step and then keep building on that.
Yeah, that's what you said is so good. Patience. It takes time.
Oh,
This
yeah.
isn't a instant mix. Like, you just don't pour this powder into a bottle of water and shake it and you got it. Like, you got.
I mean, we can't find that at, like, on Amazon or something.
No.
That would be really great.
No, yeah.
I mean, they have unicorn poop. Why can't they have this?
Right? Yes, well, that might be a market right there. Maybe instant. Yeah, I don't. It's you got to be willing to put time into it, and it's we shared this verse last week and we shared it again today. But James says, if you draw close to God, He'll draw close to you.
Yeah.
That's the secret sauce right there, and it's nothing but just time. So anything you can do to get one step closer to God, He's going to get closer to you. But like you said, you got to be patient. So for somebody, that might happen in a day, somebody a week, maybe somebody a month. I've known people that they've been on a journey for a year or longer.
Yeah.
But you just got to be willing to put the time in.
Hills and valleys. I mean, that's what. For some reason, that song came into my mind, but it's all those. It's not a straight line, so you're gonna hit a hill, you're gonna hit a valley, you're gonna hit. You're gonna go to the top of the hill. Maybe you're climbing Mount Everest right now, and that's a hard climb. But once you get to that top, you're gonna see the accomplishments and repercussions of everything that you've done.
Yeah.
Whether repercussions is more of a negative word, but
Yes.
more in the fact of you're gonna be able to look back and see what you did, what you climbed, and sometimes it's harder, sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's a hill, sometimes it's Mount Everest.
Yeah, well, I like that a lot. And I think that's something that's important. You should not make this assumption about your life based off this moment.
Yeah.
You are so much more than a moment. That's good. That's good and bad things.
Oh, yeah.
You might be going through a tough moment right now. You're more than this moment, and you might be killing it right now and just doing great. Just be careful, because you're more than just this moment.
Yeah.
That's what's great when you get to that top of the mountain, like you're talking about. You can look back and go, "Wow, look at where God took me, and look at where I've been." And if God can do that in me, then surely He can do more in me.
Right. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I mean, there's a bunch of different steps that we can do and we can take. But I guess this question says, what are some of the small steps you've taken in your faith or in your relationship with God? So I guess this is more like an example time. Like, what are some small steps that we've taken? For me personally, it's more of the fact that I like to know what other people are dealing with when they're willing to share, and then I can look at that for my life and for their life and apply a change or a different step. So something as simple as like quiet times. Man, for the longest time, some people kept saying, "Oh, we're doing quiet time this, quiet time that," and it was hard for me to do something like that, because you're already busy into something else. But you spend 5 seconds, or you spend with the Bible app, and it comes up with a Bible verse. You spend quiet time with that, meaning you look at it, you read it, you understand what it says, you meditate on it, and that could literally take 30 seconds. And now, when I spend quiet time, I can spend up to 45 minutes to an hour, because I'm used to doing that from the steps that I've taken before now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's really good. And like you said, like what you said right there, building up that essentially that stamina.
Yeah.
To be able to do that. So I think a lot of people sometimes they think, again, it's the big step theory. I have to take a big step.
Right.
Sometimes you may take a big step, but I think a lot of us are going to take small steps. So don't think, I need to pray for an hour a day. That's crazy. I don't know anybody who even prays an hour a day, But if
It's
you
like trying to run a marathon. I'm going to run one marathon before I run two.
you've
doesn't
never
work
ran
out.
before. So start small. Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, a small thing is just be open.
Yeah.
What if tomorrow morning you said, I'm just going to be open. Whatever God puts in front of me, I'm just going to say yes to. I'm not going to say no.
Yeah.
And that's a small thing, right? So then when you maybe see somebody at school and your heart feels like I should talk to him, go, yes. Today I'm going to say yes. I'm going to be open to that.
It's funny that you say that. So, like, just seeing that in a different context, meaning I always hear the story of I saw this person in my school or in my class, or I know this person. We used to fight for like a year or hate each other for a year, and then all of a sudden they become best friends. Mm-hmm. And the reason why they become best friends is because they finally understand where each other are coming from, and they get to know a little bit about each other. Mm-hmm. Why not bypass the negativity and the fights and just get to know them beforehand?
Yeah.
Like, bypass all that year of grief.
Yeah.
And then just go straight to get to know them by asking them a question or saying hi or
yes.
Yeah,
just be nice. I mean, just choose to smile. Just choose to not be negative. Maybe you're someone that's not overly positive. Okay, you can work on that, but you can choose not to be negative.
Yeah.
So if you don't have something nice to say in that moment, then just don't say anything. Like, that's a small step.
Okay.
That could have a big impact on your day and the people that are around you.
All right. Well, I think that's going to be our time. So we can close up here. So any like just final thoughts, maybe something they can do, some call to actions for them to read, follow us, follow you, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So, I think you hinted on YouTube. Our goal is to put out more content and try to get you better connected to what's happening on Floor One and utilize the space where you can bring students in and leaders in and you can hear some different thoughts and opinions. So as far as just stay tuned for that, because that's coming and we've got a plan. But as far as especially today and the next thing to do, I just want to go back to that whole idea of taking a step. When your life may just be one step away from being completely different. And the thing that we know from Scripture is that any step towards Jesus counts. Any step towards Jesus counts. Yeah. So when James says draw close, that's any step. Anytime you take a step forward, then when you draw close to God, God draws close to you. Yeah. And so it doesn't matter if it's a big step or a small step. Just take a step. And we believe that no matter who you are, everybody can take a step.
Yeah.
So the most important thing is just to get out there and do it. You got nothing to lose.
I'm 100% with you on that one. So, again, that's our time. This is North Youth Media. And, again, follow us on our socials. You can hear about things coming up through our Twitter. We're going to be hitting up on some TikToks and hopefully making you laugh and then giving you some serious points here and there. And then what else we got? We got our Snapchat going on and our Instagram. So if you want to see what's coming up. So right now we've kind of started in a weird middle part. So you're going to get this content and then next week you're going to see a bunch of snow camp stuff. So follow us to see that. And then a week from that, we'll be back to normal here. So again, thank you. And
thanks guys. Have a great week.